The adventure continues this week on Ford Outfitters.
This just is perfect elk country. This is prime. Here's my opportunity. I'm about to seal a deal on a public land elk with my bow. I was ready. There he is, he's coming this way. He's coming this way.
4 expert sportsmen on a mission to find North America's top hunting and fishing outfitters. The ones that create the unforgettable adventures and bring us that trophy of a lifetime.
Totally stoked.
Each week, one member of our dream team hits the road in an F-Series truck in a search of the hardest working men and women in the outdoors. This is The Outfitters. It's that time of year in the Colorado Rockies. A mosaic of crimson, gold, and green. The autumn air hangs on a breath. And the eerie, amorous wails of bull elk pierce the morning silence. It's a feast for the senses, and Haley Heath is on her way to drink it all in. Behind the wheel of the Super Duty, the anticipation builds as she churns up the miles. Where the pavement ends, the adventure begins, as Haley sets course for base camp on her archery elk hunt. Established nearly 30 years ago in northwest Colorado, Winterhawk Outfitters' main camp at Indian Cliffs sits at 9,300 feet and can only be reached by four-wheel drive vehicle.
Hey!
Hey, Haley, you made it.
Yes, I
to see
did.
ya.
Oh, up that road, I was afraid I wasn't going to make it. Luckily, I had a good truck that could bring me up here.
That's what it takes to get here. So.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, you guys hit the color about right. It's peaked out right about now, and it ought to be good. What we're going to do in the morning, we're going to you can settle in here tonight, and we can stay here tonight, and then I'll get you over to the other camp early in the morning, get your horseback, get started, and go from there.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
Come on, I'll show you around camp here a little bit.
Sounds good.
So. Haley, this is our pack saddle tents here. We keep all the pack saddles and the grain in here. We usually have about 30 pack saddles in here for just packing. This tent here is set up for just a riding saddles. A lot of them's out on the trail today, and there's usually 30 saddles to 40 saddles in this tent all the time. And this Indian Cliffs base camp's kind of the hub of the whole wheel, and I've always tried to keep our hunts, our camps, the traditional canvas and leather outfitting business, because today we're getting so far away from what our tradition really was that we need to keep it traditional. People like that. People come for that reason, so we need to keep it that way. We try to stay old school because too much stuff is getting away from our principles, our tradition, and we need to teach our kids that.
You know, after Larry showed me around, he said, all right, this is where you're staying tonight, but don't get too comfortable. Don't unload all your stuff. Tomorrow, we're gonna head over to Big Springs Camp, and you'll meet up with Bob, that's gonna be your guide, and then we'll be able to have you hunting, hopefully by tomorrow afternoon.
So in the morning, the boys will be around.
Once we left Indian Cliffs, we headed out that 5-mile road again, that really rough terrain, down. You know, we're headed down, and then all of a sudden we make a turn and we're headed back up to Big Springs. And once again, another really rough road. This one was much more rock. And all of a sudden it just kind of was like, oh, you know, it was beautiful. It was just opened up and smooth road right on in to Big Springs. It was beautiful. I mean, it just sat in the most perfect spot. And then we drove up and met Bob. I was really, really happy to be there.
Hey Bob, this is Haley Heath.
Hey Haley, I'm Bob.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to Winterhawk, to our Big Springs camp.
Thank you. It's beautiful here.
Oh, thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. You got here at the right time. We run into bulls pretty much every day, so let's get your stuff and we'll get going.
Okay, sounds good. You know, as soon as I met Bob, I was thinking, I like this guy. He was ready to hunt. You could tell he was just pumped up. He was so tall, and I realized, golly, it's going to be hard keeping up with this guy.
After an early retirement from a successful career with IBM, Bob Terwilliger decided to chase a dream, joining Winterhawk Outfitters 7 years ago. Bob now serves as Larry's head guide.
It's long, hard days. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it definitely is a physical test and something that you need to take good care of yourself and stay in good shape to be able to do this kind of work.
It was pretty cool meeting him and being excited about going out there and hunting. I was so ready to get out there and start seeing some elk, and he was too, so that was a good fit for sure.
Coming up on the Outfitters, after a committed and fruitless search, Bob and Haley plot course for an evening ambush.
I mean, here the elk can come from anywhere out of this dark timber, but this is a really good spot before dark, so we'll see what happens.
The Outfitters is brought to you by the 2015 Ford Super Duty.
We are with Winterhawk Outfitters in Colorado. We're outside of Eagle, and we're at a base camp, the second base camp we've actually been to. I'm really expecting a great time because we're right here in the rut. I mean, it is the middle of the rut. Best moon we could have. We have everything kind of coming together. Bob has told me he has been calling in a great number of bulls for different clients and had really good success. So I think that we really have a good opportunity of getting in close to one.
In terms of the hunt strategy, we're going to hunt some of the mountain bulls and also some of the fringes of dark timber, where we're constantly on the move trying to locate elk and get them to talk to us, and then slip in, keeping the wind in our favor, get set up and try to call one in. So the first evening we got up there, we didn't see any animals that night. And, you know, right before dark, we did hear one bugle in the distance, but it was quite a ways off. And if that was a situation that we heard earlier in the day, we would have went off in that direction to see if we could have caught up to that bull and perhaps zeroed in on it. But at that late hour, there just wasn't enough time to pursue it.
An average day here in hunting season is my crew's up at 3:30, catching horses, saddling horses, getting ready to go. Hunters get up about 4.
I'm looking for over easy people.
Have breakfast 4:30, and usually we're out of here between 4:30 and 5. We're horseback getting out of here an hour and a half before daylight. They hunt pretty much all day. When they leave the camp, they usually don't get back here till maybe an hour after dark at nights. We have supper and go to bed. The boys put the stock away and get up and do it again tomorrow. That's pretty much the way it goes. It takes a lot of organization and management to keep I call it, to keep all the monkeys on the treadmill. We got 20, 25 people working and 75 to 100 head of horses scattered out all over the place. We ought to put 50 or 60 bags on here, guys, to go with the other camp. And other than that, we need to make a trip to town. Somebody does about every day or every other day to haul a ton and a half of feed in. We're feeding 70 head of horses, takes a lot of feed and a lot of trips to town. That's good, guys. I got to depend on my employees to keep me informed daily of what needs fixed, what don't need fixed, what we're doing good, what we're not doing good, so we can make it right. And I've done it for so long, it really isn't that hard anymore, because after 30-some years, it starts getting easier, I think.
Long before the Colorado dawned, Winterhawk Outfitters is hard at it, preparing horses and hunters for another day in the mountains. The inherent challenge of archery elk is daunting, and a heavy dose of optimism is the hunter's greatest ally.
We got up super early. I mean, I think it was 3:45, 4 o'clock, something like that. Ate some breakfast, packed lunches, got on the horses, and started heading out. Pitch black dark, riding for 2 hours when you can't see anything in front of you. All you're doing is trusting this huge animal that you're sitting on. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see and hear and feel that kind of emotion, because you don't ever think about giving your trust completely to just an animal. And you have to do that. You know, you're heading out in the dark.
In the thin air at 10,000 feet, Haley's will and endurance are being tested, but the rut is on, and with Bob's guidance, the odds are in her favor.
I was definitely struggling from the altitude. I'm fine with that. I mean, I might have to take a couple stops and breathe heavy again, but you know, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get after it. I want a bull.
Building a backcountry camp requires a ton of gear. I've got to haul everything from a 1,200-pound bale of hay to panels so I can build a horse corral. It's a great opportunity to test out the all-new 2015 Ford F-150. This is the Built Tough Field Test. We really are putting the truck through its paces here because we've been through everything. This country is gorgeous, though, isn't it? But you know, it seems like the prettiest country is always the roughest to get into.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm ready to go hunting, buddy. How about you?
Game time.
To see the full Built Tough field test, go to thefordoutfitters.com. The rigors of public land elk hunting are undeniable, as Haley is learning firsthand on her Colorado hunt with Winterhawk Outfitters. Hunting pressure and high temperatures have caused a lull in the rut, but Haley remains focused. The added challenge drew Haley to archery, and an elk is at the top of her hit list. The hunting seed was planted early by her father, and the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Her own children continue to carry the family torch and have inherited a deep respect for all things wild. With hunting in her blood, she continues forth on her quest to arrow a bull, led by the cagey veteran Bob Terwilliger.
The next day I had a strategy where I was going to go that was really independent of the night before. You know, I had encounters with multiple bulls at the same time. So that was the area we headed to. It was a mountain bowl.
Sure enough, we got out there, started riding, sun started coming up. It was just beautiful. It was really what I consider elk country.
Unlike a lot of outfitting businesses, once we get our people to this camp, everything's a horseback. That's the transportation department here for everything. The horses, the mules, that's the only way we get out of here hunting every day.
Of all an outfitter's wide array of assets, none are more crucial to the success of his operation than his stock.
You know, as I'm riding the horse up, you know, I'm looking at all the scenery and thinking how beautiful this is, and I'm thinking, golly, you know, his operation, this is really the heart of it. This is the way they do things, and it made me think back to, you know, when he and I were able to go move some horses and mules and get to know him better and hear all of why he does what he does. So Larry, how many different camps do you have?
We got 24 to 26 camps, but we use some of them in archery season, some of them in gun season, some of them to fish out of. And them are the only two camps I got we can drive to, the two base camps, then everything else is anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours of horseback ride to get to them. Even after 30-some years, I still like to be involved in all the operations here. It's hard to get somebody to take over some of this stuff that don't have 30 years, because after 30 years you learn so much and everything's instinct. I enjoy this business just as much after 30 years as I did the first year. We got a great responsibility here to take care of the forest and everything else, and I need to be a part of that. I'm not an absentee owner. I need to be here at all times watching what's going on and making sure everything goes the way I want it to go.
So Larry, you having to load up these horses and mules and take them back and forth to camps and in and out of town a good bit?
Yeah, we move horses a lot through the summer. There's one week we might need 20 at one camp, and the next week we might need 40 at that camp. So we do move them from Big Springs to the Indian Cliffs and down to the ranch and back. So we're hauling horses a lot all summer and fall.
Wow, so you're really putting your trucks through the ringer for sure.
Yeah, they got to work. They're all Fords.
Although Larry hails from the East Coast, through hard work and determination, he turned his dream of living the Western lifestyle into a reality.
Well, as I was growing up in Pennsylvania, when you got big enough to even look at an outdoor life or sports afield, those was about the only two magazines around back then. And you looked at them and you seen old boys like Wally York and all these guys in Idaho and places that's been in the outfitting business at that time for 30 and 40 years. That's what I always wanted to do, but how was a kid grown up and raised in Pennsylvania going to get out west to do this? Well, after several years of riding bulls and shoeing horses, and I started coming out here hunting when I was 18 years old, and then in 1979, I just said I'm going to go do it, and went and did it. So I guess there ain't nothing in the world you can't do if you want to do it.
Back on the trail, Bob and Haley ride deeper into the mountains. The clock is ticking on her archery elk hunt, but Haley is undeterred.
All right, well, we've been riding for probably about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just listening and looking. We came up to this ridge, and all of a sudden we saw a bull standing there by himself. And so we went ahead and tied up the horses in the middle and decided we're gonna go ahead and go after it. So we're gonna go. Let's go.
You know, of course, hunting here in Colorado, in the areas that Winterhawk operates in, it's all public land, fair chase hunt. Colorado, of course, is known out of all the Rocky Mountain states for having the highest altitude. Our mountains, we have more high peaks than any other state in the continental U.S. anyway. So it is a physically challenging hunt. These elk, you know, this time of year with warmer temperatures, you know, they can be up, you know, anywhere typically from 10,000 foot up to well over 11,000 foot and above. That says you got to be in shape. That says you got to be willing to climb to get to these animals and where they like to hang out. You know, they get away from public roads, they get away from public activity. Typically, they're going to be miles from the trailhead.
Enter for your chance to win the official ride of the Outfitters, the all-new 2015 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost, or win one of 4 perfect weekend adventures designed by the Outfitters hosts. A tough elk hunt is winding down. It's now or never for Haley Heath.
There are a lot of challenges that come with this job, and you just got to believe in yourself. You got to work hard and keep things in perspective. You can't let the pressure or frustration of trying to get a shot opportunity or get an elk on the ground eat you up and get in the way of having a good time, or, you know, most importantly, jeopardize somebody's safety.
You know, we got to a point where we were calling and he wasn't coming in, and so Bob's like, you know, go ahead and knock when to be ready. So I'm running through the bushes, you know, with my arrow ready. He's like, because he might not bugle, he might not do any calls, he might just start coming, and all you're gonna hear is feet, and you're gonna have to just draw and shoot. And so I was ready, and we just never saw him or heard him. So we were like, well, what do we do now? And he said, well, I wanted to ride a lot more, you know, another, you know, probably a couple miles before we stopped and started hunting hard. But since we're already on foot and we're already headed that direction, let's just keep on foot. So sure enough, we started going. Decided to stop and call a couple of times. See if that elk was around still. Nothing.
That knob over there with the trees on top, that's a dynamite spot. Rifle season for both big bucks and elk.
We stopped and called one time, and we were like, was that a bugle? It was the weirdest sounding bugle I think I've ever heard. And we're like, it was.
I heard it, a light chuckle of a bull elk, and it wasn't long and he stepped out of the timber and we saw him down below us. He was about 75 yards away.
He's a legal.
He's legal. Okay, I see him. You could tell he was so excited. It was not the same elk that we'd seen.
So I immediately got Haley set up And I got back with my decoy and started calling. The bull was reacting positively. He was coming.
There he is, he's coming this way. He's coming this way.
We did have some pretty squirrely wind where it was blowing up the hill, down the hill, east and west. Sometimes it felt like all at the same time. And it was pretty exciting there for a few minutes because we thought he was coming. And I think he got a whiff of us, and you know, he just kind of trotted off on his way. So,
as hard as that was, I was so thankful we finally had an opportunity. You know, when you put in that much hard work and not seeing and hearing anything, finally we saw one, we had him coming in, we had everything right until the wind shifted. And so we decided, let's keep moving. Let's keep pushing towards the area he really wanted to hunt that day.
I think Haley fared real well. This is an experience that until you do it, you don't know what you're getting into. For her first time here, she did great.
We got to a point where we're just like, all right, it's heating up, and decided, you know what, we might as well eventually make it back to the horses. There's an area right down from where we saw that one skyline that is just beautiful. He's like, we can look from the top and just watch and see what comes out. We knew we were expecting thunderstorms, but just hoping they were going to pass by us.
Didn't end up in a kill, but that's elk hunting, and particularly that's archery elk hunting. You know, with the rifle, of course, that would have been an easy. But I think that's part of what makes archery special. It's the encounters and getting out there and the interaction with the elk. And hey, it is tougher, and you don't have to kill one to have a good time, and you don't have to kill one to have a successful hunt. And I felt like, you know, based on what we did today, that we did have a successful hunt because we got out there and we saw some animals. We worked hard together.
Well, we almost had them, didn't we, today? That was close.
We stayed at it, and, you know, we didn't score, but we come darn close, and, you know, that's what it's all about.
Next time on The Outfitters, Conway Bowman sets course for Manitoba's Red River in pursuit of monster catfish.
Yeah! That is totally ridiculous.